Welcome to the High Vibration Reset, the podcast for women who are done with the struggle and ready for more energy, more flow, and more freedom. I'm Ciara Conlon, your host and guide, and my goal with this podcast is to simplify transformation and to help you step into your highest potential. In this episode, I talked to Jodi Barrett, the CEO of KBStronger, an online fitness and wellness platform. After navigating a divorce and transitioning from 11 years as a stay-at-home mom of 3, Jodi decided to change lanes and become a full-time entrepreneur. She launched a Canadian kettlebell certification program, and her business evolved from trainer certification to studio classes, hosting wellness retreats, and running KBStronger online. Her first book was a book called I Don't Do Vanilla, great title. And every day, Jodi says she chooses movement as a way to honor her body, her mind, and spirit. Now, this conversation will make you think very differently about fitness, about your body and mind, and really how you show up for yourself. But before we dive into that conversation, I want to remind you about what this community is really about. The Life Flow High Vibration community offers a space for podcast listeners or for any woman who wants to let go of this struggle, to let go of any overthinking, overworking, or even feeling sorry for yourself. I want you to finally embrace what it means to live in high vibration, to upgrade your mindset, to lighten that emotional load, and to create positive, sustainable habits for life. The community is currently free, but it won't be for much longer. So don't second guess this. Just come along and join us for a daily dose of positivity, motivation, and high vibe energy. I can't wait to meet you on the inside. You'll find the link below in the show notes. So welcome, Jodi Barrett. Thank you so much, Jodi, for joining us on the High Vibration Reset. Jodi is tuning in from Calgary, Alberta, and it is 8:30 in the morning, Jodi. Thank you for getting up early, which I'm sure you do anyway most days.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful to have you here. And I'm going to let you tell the listeners who you are and give us a little background, Jodi, about how you went from somebody who was overwhelmed and burnt out to somebody who has an amazing fitness platform with a huge community of people all around the world. So I'll hand over to you.
Well, thank you so much. As you said, my name's Jodi, and I always like to spin this a little bit different, kind of characteristic wise, because I got caught up in roles as I transitioned through life. So when I introduce myself, I like to say that I'm pretty determined, persistent, quirky, funny, and I've got a really big heart. And
love it.
And some of my roles would be CEO. I'm a mom, daughter, sister, friend. So that's kind of, I always lead in with that because my journey started when I got so consumed by who I thought I was, and when I figured out that I kind of lost who I was, and it's landed me here today.
Brilliant, brilliant. So go into a little bit more of where your journey into fitness even started. You do have a slant on fitness and strength training that, of course, was really interesting to me. And that's why I wanted to chat with you. But, so just go from where that whole journey started.
Yeah, so I grew up in a smaller community, so the benefit from that was you got to play everything, as far as sports and everything. I didn't realize the benefit of that until I had kids of my own and realized how limiting it was when you were in a bigger center. So, my love of movement started when I was a kid and, just progressed over time, and going off into university and doing a kinesiology degree. And then it was always so like was a foundation of me for sure, and a passion. I was a dance teacher at one point in my life, so
Hey.
that was a little bit of background. Sometimes people don't know, and yeah, and I got married. I had 3 kids, and that's where I kind of started to get a little lost on who I
Mm,
was again, because you get so focused on what you think you need to be doing all the time, and then it was just the progression of, that piece, but then, always pulling back into fitness and health and movement. And movement was key for me. And it actually, I think it saved me. I know a lot of people you talk about with
mm,
fitness and movement, but interestingly enough, for me, I was so keyed in on movement that it was the day that I was like, couldn't move. And not because I was physically injured, but it was a moment in time where I was like just hitting the weights hard, doing lots of running. And I had a moment in looking at my reflection in the mirror, and it was like, I didn't want to lift anything.
wow.
So it was, and that's where the mindset piece definitely comes in. But
Yeah, yeah.
that's
That's interesting because as you were talking about movement, I just thought, you can never be stuck when you have movement in your life, can you?
No, right? And that's such an important key. And we were talking about that the other day, about how we become so consumed by how many times a week do you work out,
Hmm.
right? And then I had a really good friend of mine. We were having a conversation. She said, kind of, let's look at it differently as, how long are you sedentary during the day? And I was like, well, that's a great way to shift things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Then we start to think, oh, wow, yeah, maybe I shouldn't
Right?
be.
Right? You think about, oh, I sat down on the couch at 5. Oh, I didn't really move that much till the next
No,
morning, right?
and did nothing productive in those hours.
Yeah, right?
Okay, okay, we're hearing you.
Right?
So when did this become your life, your business?
So when I was 41, so I like went through a transition when I was 38, where I had that moment looking in the mirror, and was terrifying because I always use movement exercise as a way to cope.
Mm,
And I always think that, like, that's a great thing, but there is a moment in time where you have to really sit down with that coping mechanism and make sure you're not overusing it.
sure, yeah, yeah.
And that was for me that day. And I was like, terrified me, because I was like, this was my one go-to thing that helped me, like, I don't know, maybe avoid some things.
Yeah,
And then I just, in that moment, I was like, okay, you have to own up everything, like what's going on that you need to take care of. And, I was happy that movement came back to me. It's not like it was just like done. I, quit, but I think it allowed me to build up to that spot.
so how did you own up?
Own up. Well, I owned up pretty big. I owned up that I wasn't happy in my marriage anymore, and that it was time to um, go down a different path. So that was when I was 38, and I didn't launch my first business until 41. So I always feel in my brain it was really fast and furious until that. But there were some really dark times in there where I didn't like myself very much. And I'm a pretty positive person, but I remember back to those moments where I was like, yeah, not super happy with just the outlook, or my outlook on life. But again, mindset came into play, where I started to fuse mindset and movement and intertwine them more. And the kettlebell, which is my training tool, it grounded me.
Amazing.
It was after that I started training that the idea started to come about, because I was fitness oriented already, strength training, the running, and then that piece came in, and I wasn't sure where it was going to take me.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, but at 41, I decided I was going to launch a company across Canada and start doing kettlebell certifications.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous. I always think it's such a brave move, because
Mhm.
I think so many people just settle in their lives. Now, I'm not saying that everybody should, get divorced or
Right.
do something radical,
Yes.
but I think a lot of people avoid even the question. It's
Yes.
it's too big, it's too difficult. It's just
Yeah.
easier to get on with life, isn't it?
Mhm.
So, first of all, congratulations,
Thank
kudos for.
you. Thank you.
I think it's a really good move for a lot of people.
Yes.
And you said like 38 to 41, it seemed like a whirlwind, but your kids were probably teenagers at that stage, were they?
Yeah, my oldest was 13, my youngest was 9.
Wow.
So, oh yeah, they were in the not
Yeah.
not the best age for all of that. But, for me, because I went through that transition where I was like, I made this decision and then I'm not happy. And then I started to think, gee, I made this decision. Like, you gotta own that you did it. And I'm like, if you made such a huge decision, you better really turn things around. So that's when my mindset started to change. And I thought, I have these 3 amazing kids. And I just really wanted to show them that I was 41 and I was like, I wanted them to know that you can. Like, life is this huge, amazing thing. And you can go after your dreams and your
Yeah.
goals
At any
and
age.
at any age. And they needed to know that it was going to be work, right? They would see that. um but my mind shift was, I started to think, why not me, instead of I can't. I was like, well, you
Amazing.
think about people that have done extraordinary things, and I'm like, at the end of the day, they're humans,
Exactly.
right? We're
Just
all
like you and
humans,
I. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So then I just shifted that.
And I think you mentioned a really key thing there, and you've said it a couple of times, probably without even realizing it. It's to own up, to own it.
Yes. Yes.
You made a decision and
Yes.
you owned it.
Yes.
So it's being that brave
Mhm.
person. It's taking responsibility.
Yeah.
These are my decisions.
Yes.
I need to do something with.
Yeah. And I think because I affected, I think sometimes when we walk through just like, and I don't know, because I'm not like just no children, but I thought I disrupted 4 people's lives. And I thought I would catch myself just being so mean to myself and so upset. And I'd be like, man, you chose to do this. Like, I do not want to spend the rest of my life being miserable.
Hmm.
And the fact that that was my decision. So I'm like, let's make it a good one.
And it certainly was, Jodi.
It was.
So you say that your fitness and wellness platform is as much about emotional health or emotional
Yes.
strength, isn't it, as
Yes.
physical strength?
Yes.
So is that because of what you've been through, of how much fitness gave you? Can you
Yeah.
explain that a little bit more, please?
Yeah. Like, I think for me, I want, like, I mean, like I talk about my kids, I want them to, I don't want to be just somebody who talks, right? So I'm really big on, I'm going to show you every day that I'm showing up. And I hope that you can either be motivated from that, you can be inspired by that, you can take something away from that. Um, and I just think that what I built on the platform, and like I've talked about, like I have the 12-week program, and it's movement, it's a connecting with me every other week. But there's a 12-week calm strength workbook in there. And yeah, it's like I always say it's the brand that's been built from the inside out.
Lovely. Yeah. So it's using exercise or movement to better yourself.
Yeah, and just becoming aware, like, um becoming aware that you have a relationship with yourself that you probably haven't even explored yet, and coming back to yourself. And the bell, my tool of choice, is because you can create, it's a rhythm. The swing
Right.
is a rhythm. Not all of it. You're not always swinging the bell, but it's, when I go back to when I started, I picked up the bell in a very hard time in my life. And it was the first time I felt grounded in a really long time. So a lot of my clients will be like, they'll be having a rough day and they'll even send a message and I'll be like, go pick your bell up. You're going to do 30 seconds of swings. I do it with my daughter. She'll call me and she'll be like, I'll let her share what's upsetting to her, but I'll only let her do it for a certain timeline. And then if she's spiraled out of control, I'm like, okay, go swing your bell. This is what you're going to do. You're going to do a ladder because I want you to think about what you're doing. So you pull yourself out of your thoughts. So you have to focus. I said, call me back in 10 minutes. So she'll go away. She'll come back. And the conversation's so different in 10 minutes.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
So did you previously work with weights?
Yes.
Before finding the bell.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the day I was in the gym and I saw my reflection, it was conventional. I was conventional weight training. And I tried going back because I had a coach. He's like, I want to coach you. Let's do conventional. And I was like, okay, well, I'll try it. And I love that I tried it because when I went back, I was like, oh, I wouldn't do this again.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So was it that shift then, what you explained, that with the kettlebell, it is much more a presence activity? Are you
Yes.
much more mindful while using it?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Because you have to think. Like you can swing and feel the rhythm and that's really good. But when you build stuff together, the movements, you have to be present. Now there's so much beauty in that because number one, you are creating a mind-body connection. We need to use our brains. We sometimes forget that this is also supposed to be used, right?
Yeah.
To be healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like the weight of the bell. And then when you're present in what you're doing, it also takes you away from the day, right? So if you've had stress in your day, something's going on, but you need to be there. I have a lot of clients when they train, they're like, wow, like that just flew by. Right. And that's always my goal. I'm like, I want you to be so present. When you're so present with another human being that they bring such joy and life to you that you look at your watch or you look at the clock and you're like, oh my gosh, we've been sitting for 2 hours. Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the idea with the training, that you just be so present.
Just in case anybody out there doesn't know what a kettlebell is, can you describe what it is for us?
Yes, I was like, if I have one to the right of me.
Go on, pick it up.
Can I get it? I feel like visuals are good. I'm a visual person. So it's like this.
Okay. So those of you listening and not watching.
Right? Yeah. So if you're not watching, it's a round weight with a handle. So somebody said I should get a purse that looks like that, but that'd be so cool. So the nice thing about that, I have to set it back down because I'm paranoid about setting it on top of things because it will fall. But yeah, so it's a round weight with a handle. So you're always dealing with different ways to hold it because of the balance of it or where the center of gravity is.
Okay. So you're balancing your body.
Yes. And core. Everybody's like, us ladies, we always like our core, right? Yeah, but it's such a great, everything you do is such a good core exercise and functional.
So it's different in that way as well, that when you're using a weight, it's more around the local area rather than the kettlebell. You're using your whole body with each weight. Yes. Wow. I've never used it. Yet.
Right? There's a yet.
I was telling Jodi before we hit record about my sore arm and hand and other little things going on with me. As soon as I get that sorted out, I think, yes, I'll be swinging them bells.
Right? You'll love it.
So tell me, girl, it's women you work with.
Mostly women, probably 90%.
Yeah. So let's say in that 12-week program you mentioned, do you see not just a change? I know the answer to this question, but do you see a change not just in the physical aspects of the people, so tell us about what else changes.
Right. I love that question. I've been doing this for 8.5 years. So, you always try to find that thing that you build that you're like, this is it. This is a thing that I want to share with people. And so really, May was the first time I launched the 12-week program. And it's been so incredible. And not so, yes, incredible that you're going to, I had one lady, she's like, I'm down 4 pant sizes. I'm gaining muscle. But my most favorite thing about that is she's like, it's changed my mental health. She goes, it's changed my life. She goes, I can go hang out and do stuff with my kids. She started running again. And she's like, I just look at things differently. And she did it with a girlfriend of hers. And she's like, she's a different, she's like, it's a different person. Mentally, you show up differently. And she's like, she goes, I hear you in my head, throughout the day when I think I can't do something. And then I'm like, I hear you, you can do it. Keep showing up, do what you can today. And that's the key, right? I want people to move, but that's why I want to help people figure out how to put the two of them together. Because when you put them together, you will have a lifestyle change, because it changes how you feel during the day, how you navigate, how you look at things, right? And I love that, when they start the program and we connect quite quickly in the program, is it's a 30-minute start, and it's body weight. They do body weight to start, and then it goes into the bells. But it's 30 minutes. I don't care if you do the 30 minutes to start. You have to find your start spot. And it's starting to teach people that just because it says 30 minutes on the the program, if you get 15 minutes done, that's awesome. So now you know your start, right? Yeah. So that's the mindset behind it all. It's you need to figure out how to fit it into your life so it works for you. So it's 3 times a week. As it gets a little progressive, there's a little bit more gets added on near the end, but it's I wanted to build something that was manageable, that you could be successful at.
Yeah.
So you feel like you a success, because we should all feel like a success at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And that's what I was going to say to you. So not only is it a mental health benefit from doing it, but surely it increases confidence massively.
Oh, absolutely, right? The one girl who finished, she's like, I've never finished anything. Wow. And we had the conversation, because when she started, she's like, I always quit. And the nice thing is, every 2 weeks you get there's a calendar, you go in and you book a session with me, and we go over form. We go over how is it fitting in, because that's so important. Because I know as women, I only speak because I speak for myself, that we are really good at taking things on, right? And that's somehow how we get overwhelmed, and we don't finish our fitness because we've taken stuff on. So a big part of it is sitting with someone and saying, where are you going to fit it in, right? Do the first week, second week, we come back and we adjust. Maybe it's better at morning, maybe it's better at afternoon, but it's time management.
But it's habit formation, isn't it?
Yes.
And it has to work. And
it has to work.
Yeah, it has to work and blend in with what's already there in your life.
Yes, and I think permission, right?
Yeah.
We sometimes need permission to know. I had a mom that trained with me in studio when I was in studio once, and she's online with me now, and she's got 2 little boys. And she's like, I'm really struggling to get in the 45 minutes. And I said, well, there's 5-minute ones on there. And she's like, oh, yeah. She goes, but she said to me, she texted me later, and she said, you gave me permission today that it was okay. And I'm like, you moved your body today. Yeah. That's the beauty of it.
Absolutely. Right? And that's it. Make it so easy that you can't say no.
Yeah. And the snowball effect of that is you might get in for 5 minutes. That might be it. Yeah. But you might feel so good. Yeah. You'll be like, well, I'm going to do this other 3 minutes.
A little bit more.
Right. So
that's how I wrote my first book. Was I said to myself, I can do 10 minutes a day.
Nice.
And of
Yes.
course, 10 minutes
Uh-huh.
sometimes spills
Yep.
over and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you do
Yeah.
less,
Yep.
but it gives you that sense of achievement, of
Yes.
success.
Success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even if you promise yourself, I'm going to do 5 minutes of movement a day,
Yes.
by the end of the week, you've
Yeah.
done, how many minutes is that? My 35 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as you say,
Yeah.
very often it becomes more and more and
Yeah.
more.
And it's
But
teaching you, right? To show up for you and
yeah,
you're true to your
yes,
word,
yes,
right? Because that's a huge thing is when you start saying things, I'm going to do this. And then you check it off and you're like, yeah,
I
I
did
did
it.
it.
I did it.
So
Yeah.
now when I say something, I have to be very conscious because I want to do it, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I think there's so many of us that have, spent so many years setting goals and not doing it,
Yeah.
setting intentions, but not quite committing because we failed so many times before that we don't even want to voice it. So that's a really good tip for people who are struggling or feeling stuck. It's like
Yeah.
set a really small goal,
Yeah.
something that you can achieve. And then
Yes.
each one of them adds up.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you've started a
Yes.
business
Yeah.
or
Right. Yeah.
you've
Just
lost
start.
the weight or
Yeah.
you've transformed some part of your life that needs a shift. So your book. So I love the title of your book, Jodi. I don't do vanilla.
Right.
What's that all about?
Oh, well, I'd been in my business long enough to know that I kind of needed a little bit of marketing behind it. So I was like, if I was in a bookstore, what would catch my attention? Um, I don't. The idea behind the title is I believe I don't do things the normal average way. I look at things differently. I storm ahead and try to figure it out as I go. So that was the title of my book. And I was one of my best friends. She's also does some photography and graphic design. And she actually took that photo of the book. There's on this
It's a
title on the book,
beautiful
there's
photo.
like, I'm holding ice cream and
Yeah.
it's like pink and blue, and we did it for actually an Instagram post is where it happened. And then when
Ooh,
I wrote the book, the lady who was helping me publish, she said, Jodi, I envisioned this. And I stopped her and I said, no, I'm like, I know exactly what picture I want. And I said, it was the ice cream photo. And she was so awesome. And she's like, I love it. She goes, it's so cool. She goes, the photo was born before the book and it was all there and it would just, everything was just waiting to tie in. So yeah,
brilliant.
so that was
Yeah.
the start of the
And
book.
how has that served you through your life? This concept of not doing things the way everybody else does them, carving your own
Right.
path, your own way.
I think it served me well. It's taught me so many things. It's taught me, not to, because I know I am an overthinker, but it's allowed me to go, okay, just start because we'll figure it out. And it's
Mhm.
allowed me to be in that space because I could get so stuck in my head with ideas that things would never
Yeah,
come to fruition. And it has really served me well in that sense that I'm like, okay, let's go for it. And why not?
yeah, yeah. We get one life.
Right? Like when you really sit, like I sit with that a lot whenever I'm making a decision about something. People might think it sounds morbid, but my question, how I decide is, if I was taking my last breath, would I be okay passing up this opportunity?
Mm,
And my answer comes fast and furious.
yeah, yeah. So, to the women or the people who are sitting on the couch feeling heavy, maybe stuck in what I call low vibration, where things in life are, not going so well. How do you inspire those people to move?
Yes, that's a fabulous question. First of all, I know what that feels like. Heavy. I work with people that walk into my space to lift a weight, and I could tell you how their day is going by how they lift a weight overhead, because they won't be able to lift, or they'll struggle with a lighter weight when their life is heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to say, start to move. And maybe movement isn't a kettlebell. Maybe it's a walk that's 3 minutes, but you need to move that energy, because when you're stuck, your energy's stuck. And that's why I always pair movement with the mindset with the movement, because one will start to flow the other.
Yeah.
Because it's so important to move your body, because you start getting that positive energy moving, and then it'll allow yourself to go, okay, what's next? Now I can start to think a little bit clearer, because that's starting to move. It's not all good. You're not going to figure it all out at once. It is a journey, and it's like, I always look at it as a tier, right? So I feel sluggish. I don't feel good in my head space. Sometimes it's hard to motivate your head when you're there. But if I start to move in a positive way, then I can clear my head a little bit. Then I can focus on the head stuff. This is when you'll probably go into, I got to train every day. I got to do this because it's clear in my head. Then you have to recognize that, okay, there is a harmony between those movements. And when you can figure that out, then you hit the top of the tier, where you're like, your mindset and movement go together, and to understand that they'll fluctuate. You'll need to spend more time here. You'll need to spend more time here. But it's a journey.
In your experience then, to go from stuckness, it's more about making the decision in advance to move, rather than relying on your mind to make that decision. Would that be correct?
Yeah, well, they kind of go together, because the mind has to decide to walk through the like, or push play on the button. Like, you got to decide to do it, but I wouldn't overthink it. And that's why I always think walking is always the best. And if you can get outside, because being outdoors is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Just starting there, but you have to also make that biggest decision is in your head. So it's kind of a challenge to have even that conversation, because which comes first, right?
But I think it's a lot about that, when we're talking about habit creation, or even, I know at this stage, somebody might not have the habit, but it's saying, I want to do this in advance rather than waiting, because, if you say, I'm going to go for a walk tomorrow,
yes,
then you don't feel like it.
No.
Whereas if you say tomorrow at 3 p.m., I'm meeting Jodi for a walk, or I'm meeting Ciara, that's a decision made. And
it's a decision made. And most often, unfortunately, our pain has to outweigh it. Like, our pain has to be huge. I've had clients come to me before, and they're like, I want to do this, this, this. And then they'll do it for a little bit, and then they've not really doing it. And then they come back to me, and I ask the question, I'm like, how bad do you want it? And they're like, well, I don't like this anymore. And I'm like, okay, so then your pains got intolerable to you. So now you've made that decision that I'm not there. And I always say, your start spot is the most beautiful spot, because there is so much in that start spot. Number one, when you start exercising, I'm brutally honest, it's going to suck. Like, you're going to be like, this feels hard. Everything's hard. But there's so much beauty in that, because you've started, right? You said you're going to be true to your word. You've started. B, I always say, remember your start spot so you don't go back to it.
Yeah.
Right? I've had people that have trouble getting up and down off the ground, and they look at me and they're like, that was the worst moment of my life. And I was like, good.
Yeah.
Now you know where you're at. So let's work on that, get better, so that you don't have to feel that way. Right?
So what kind of mindset tips do you give your clients? So obviously, you start something new, it's tough, you're tired, your body doesn't quite have the strength or the energy. While people are doing that, surely there's things that we should be putting into our head rather than saying things like, this is so hard, I hate this.
Right? Yeah. So we start talking about internal dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
What's that conversation on the inside like? I always like your best to be your best cheerleader than your worst critic. Because I'm like, if you're going to go through life, let's pick ourselves up before beating ourselves down. So just starting to understand, when you move through motions, what is your conversation in your head? Right? And again, first of all, it's just some of us don't even realize that we're having those thoughts, right? So it's just creating an awareness of like you did a week of training and you kind of start to journal a little bit on what that felt like before your workout. How'd you feel like after workout? I've never had anyone, and mark my words, I always say never, but never had someone say to me, oh my God, I'm so upset that I showed up today. Right? Even if it was a tough workout where you're like, whew, I'm exhausted. You're like, I did it.
No regret.
And it's just the power of like, showed up. I moved my body. Right? So those are the little things you start to weave in, and recognize.
Mm-hmm.
And again, showing up for a period of time without having huge expectations. You got to start and it's going to take time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But that's a good trick as well, I think, for people. It's to play it forward. How am I going to feel when I've done this? Rather than focus on the pain of the, not that it's painful, I'm over exaggerating, but the difficulty in changing your routine or the challenge. It's how am I going to feel exactly when I do this? I'm going to be so proud of myself. I'm going to have more energy.
Yes.
I'm going to have endorphins.
Yes.
There are so many benefits, and you just have to get over that first moment of the thoughts that drag you down.
Right?
Which I call, Jodi, your bull. That was the title of my book, Rise Before, my last book, Rise Before Your Bull. So it's
awesome.
Move, to take action.
Yeah.
Before you give that internal rhetoric time.
Yes.
To tell you not to do it, to convince you otherwise.
And you can set yourself up like the night before. Instead of going, oh, I got to work out tomorrow. You're like, you get to work out tomorrow. I get to work out tomorrow. And even if it doesn't feel right in your head, but you're getting your subconscious, like, I get to do it. In the morning, you get up. And I always say, I do gratitude every day before I get out of bed. And it's just starting to set the tone for your day, where it's going to be. And you have just it's like you just have to start and it'll start to snowball.
So do you work out in the morning?
Right off the hop, I get up, I do 50 push-ups while my coffee's brewing. and I move throughout the day. So I kind of spread my workouts throughout the day, different parts of it. And then I have a main set workout that I do like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So,
and do you recommend a time of the day? Does it matter? Does it depend on the person?
You work out when it fits you the best. Like we can get into like scientifically where does, but I'm like, we just need to get people moving. Right. And if you're like, I have a client, she just moved to doing early mornings and she loves it. And I'm like, if I could do my early mornings myself, probably the best, because you've set the tone for your day. You feel good already. And you don't get pulled into the cycle of, oh, I don't have time tonight because I got to run here, got to take the kids here. So then it's there. So, I mean, maybe that's, you just have to figure out where it fits best so you can fit your fitness into your lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. In my experience, I've always found it really difficult to create habits all my life. And that's why I ended up, studying it so much. But it was always that get it done in the morning. Even now with my dogs, if I ever say I'll walk them later, I never walk them later.
Right? Because you put it off.
I never do, because I'm always too busy doing something else or, doing other chores. So I know myself that I need to do things in the morning. Now, if I have a class like Pilates, or I'm going to play tennis,
Yeah.
or have something prearranged, well, then I'll show up.
Yes. And that's key too, right? So that's why I always say have a lot of people that go through the program, they have a friend that joins with them.
Very good.
So then it's on the day where you're kind of like, and they send you a text because I know this has happened with them. They're like, I did it. And they're like, oh, you did it already? I got to get it done now, right? So it's being accountable,
Yeah.
signing in, saying you're going to be there.
Yeah.
Also accountability. Those are all little tricks that, you do to show up.
Yeah. And we have to trick ourselves
We
sometimes.
do. Sometimes we do. And I always say life gets busy. So if you miss a workout, you miss a workout. Don't miss 2 workouts. Because if you miss the second one, chances are you're going to miss a third one. And now you are creating a habit of missing.
Yes. Yeah. And then you have the emotional negative impact of that.
Yes.
And then the mindset starts, the
I
negative.
failed.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Here I go again. I knew I wouldn't do this. So yeah, that's a good tip, not let it go too far.
Right.
In your experience as a business owner, how important has it been to have this physical strength to carry you through? Do you think you would have achieved what you've achieved without your strength training?
I believe not.
She's shaking her head, by the way.
Shaking my head. No, because it's taught me grit. Like it's taught me when I do something hard, and people always say, why are you always going and doing something so hard? Like you know you're strong. Why do you have to go and swing a bell for an hour twice a year? Because it takes you through a mental journey. And when I do something hard physically, it reminds me I'm so capable. So then I correlate, this project's hard, but I know my body can show up. I know I can show up because I've shown myself that. So you teach yourself what you're capable of when physical training so that you can apply that to your business, your personal life.
Yeah.
All those keys of elements of that is like, I know if I am true to my word that I can show up. Well, now I can apply that I can show that up in business. I can show it in my personal life, but it's like, that's what I get so excited about. Cause it's just that I'm like, can you imagine that not just training, but training and doing the mindset together that gives you such a big component for your life to help you navigate? My kids laugh at me all the time because they're always like, you can relate everything to training.
Well, it's very relevant. I mean, again, talking about vibration, high vibration is when we align our mindset, our emotions, and our actions.
Yes.
And we feel bloody good.
Right. And I
and
think
we take more action and we move through life in a happier and stronger way. So yeah, I think strength training is a very good analogy, or a very good tool in order to facilitate that. One of the things that I always say is that high performers have high performing habits. And I see that time and time again with the people that I coach. Not everybody, but we're probably talking the Pareto principle, 80% of high performers, that they are out there doing the right things. They all have some kind of exercise habit because it gives them energy. It gives them that clarity, the focus.
Yeah. You pull from it.
Yeah. Yeah. And in your experience, as well as, being a CEO, being a single mom, what other things has this lifestyle taught you? Are there any other lessons that you've taken from, this daily activity that you've been able to bring through?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think kind of what teaches me so much always, right? The teaches me the relationship with yourself, right? Because
Mm.
I had to, like, the last, oh gosh, well, since I was 38, I'm 50 now. It's like it's been quite a ride in understanding, how I show up for me, how I show up for my kids, my family, all of that. It's taught me the importance of it, and really the importance of, I think it's easy to talk, right? We can have conversations, we can throw words around. The not so easy is the actual doing, right? And we talk about self-love a lot, and that being such a big
Mm.
component. And like, I think it's supposed to be this way. I think you're supposed to, I always hope that my kids, I got a son and two daughters. My wish for them and hope for them is that they learn to love themselves earlier, because that will just transcend into everything they do,
Yeah.
right? When they love
Yeah.
themselves more, they'll create a healthy boundary. They'll know how to navigate that in the business world, in the personal world, right? And I think creating that relationship with yourself through physical. Tell a really quick story about my daughter. She, when I had the studio when I was in Saskatchewan, she biked down to my studio once with some friends. She got there and they're so tired. And she's like, Mom, can you drive me home right now? And I was like, well, I would, and I said, I can, but I got 2 more hours here. I'll take you back then. Well, what teenage kid wants to wait for 2 hours? Right? So she biked back home, and she called me that night, and it was the most incredible conversation I had. And she's like, she just couldn't get over how proud she was of herself.
Wow.
She goes, I did it. She goes, I biked there and I biked back. And I was like, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, if I would have drove her back, I would have robbed her of that moment. And she got to learn that moment, how that felt by finishing something,
Amazing.
right?
Amazing.
And that's what it's all about. It's about creating these things. Like when you do the 12-week, it's about finishing so you can say you finished, because you'll feel. And everything comes down to how you feel. And I say, when you start to, you have a goal of, I want to lose 20 pounds, 10 pounds, 5 pounds. I always say, and what will that bring you?
Mm.
Because then if you attach something, and a lot of people are like my one mom, she's like, I get to go play with my kids. I get to hike and not feel like I'm going to die because I
Yeah.
can't catch
Yeah.
my breath. So now you've attached, you have a goal. Now you have a feeling component,
A real
right?
why.
A
A
real
real
why.
motivation.
So yeah,
Mm.
so I think, that's kind of what the last, I don't like 8-10 years of doing this has brought me, just understanding that, you know,
Amazing.
self-love is a real thing. And it's not just a word, but it's the work to do it.
And I can feel your vibe, Jodi. I can feel it. But all of those things, as you say, teaching your kids that is, and it's teaching through doing, not through
Yes, not through
lecturing,
talking, right?
Yeah. You've taken responsibility for your life. You've given yourself permission.
Yeah.
You've owned it and you follow through every day. Yeah. So it's an amazing role model. You do a lot of social media. I'm awestruck, maybe a little jealous when I see you show up every day online with your cool videos on Instagram and LinkedIn. Are you on TikTok as well?
I am, not as much though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Where do you find the time to create that
Oh,
content?
yeah. Well, I try to shoot as much as I can in sections, and then I, just kind of pull it apart. That's become I'm grateful that it's a creative part of me, because if I
Mm,
didn't like doing it, it would become a chore, but I have a lot of fun with it,
yeah, yeah.
and
And that's key, isn't it? Because I know
yeah.
a lot of a lot of my listeners have small businesses, and I know
Mhm.
that's a weight for a lot of them
Yeah.
is this social media. We have to show up, we have to advertise, But your Instagram, is it KB
Yeah,
Stronger? Yeah.
KBStronger _
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check
Yeah.
her out. Maybe get some inspiration from both from what she's telling you to do with your body, but also maybe for your own social media.
Yeah.
And Jodi, what's next for you? So you spoke about your 12-week program.
Yes.
So can people start that anytime, or is there a start date for that?
Yeah, no, it's anytime again, because it takes away the excuse of I'm waiting, right? And you just got to get started. So it's anytime. And yeah, like then we connect right away. And I always say connect, reach out. Like I know sometimes it's, sometimes just a random stranger that you don't really know that well, but I'm very, very eager and personable, and no
Yeah.
question is ever a silly question. So
Yeah, people are sometimes shy when they start
right, I'm
something
like,
new,
just
but yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
If you
yeah.
just knew and if you followed me long enough, you'll see so much kind of goofiness that comes out of me. You're like, oh yeah,
It's
it's
okay.
it's
It's
okay.
okay.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
Brilliant. And what else? What else is in the plan for you moving forward? Any new projects, or just more of how you help people, more of the same?
Yeah, actually, so the launching 2 apps come September. So we're
Wow.
sorting that out. So that'll be fantastic. Again, bringing just a little bit more things to my clients to navigate that platform a little bit more. Retreat. I have the retreat coming up in Costa Rica. So it is a um, movement mindset. So if I always say, don't be concerned about, everyone's like, well, kettlebell for 7 days. We do some I call it kettlebell therapy. And that's where we talk a little bit more of finding the rhythm of the bell, being grounded. Anxious energy needs to be moved. I learned this the hard way, because people, when I was going through some of my hardest times, they would be like, sit, be still. And I'd be like, oh my God, that terrifies me. Don't make me sit. But the bell allowed me to move the energy. So I'll do that on a day, even if before a big meeting, I'll like go swing a bell 30 times.
Amazing.
Levels me out. But so my retreat. So I just share that because we don't spend 7 days. It's really about becoming a present, aware. Sometimes it's really good to step out of your space, because you'll see things differently when you have a moment to pause and breathe. So that's coming February 2nd in 2026, I guess that will be. And yeah, and I have a product that's coming in September that I have not released what it is yet, but it is something brand new, and I'm super excited about it. So yeah, so you'll have to follow along and see
Very good.
what
Very
that's going to
good.
be.
You'll tease us along, I'm
Tease
sure.
you a little bit, yeah.
You reminded me there of the Wayne Dyer quote when you say, get out of your environment and change your perspective. But do you remember the change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change? So that might be a good way to maybe change the way you look at strength training. Anybody listening? Or change the way you look at, how you're currently doing your fitness, or looking after your body. So we want to look at it in a much more positive,
Right?
lighter, brighter, exciting way.
It's like, be curious again. I always think, be curious. My biggest takeaway that I got from my divorce was it allowed me to, when I shifted my mindset, I always said, I began looking at life through the eyes of a child again. So I stood back, and I like the things that would amaze me. And people would be like, that's kind of ridiculous. And I'm like, but if you're going to look at something, you have to take the lens off and like look.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. What they call in mindfulness, the beginner's mind. But I love another way that it's described, the traveler's mind. Because when you go on holidays and everything
Yes.
is exciting.
Yes, I
Even
love
the
that.
buildings are beautiful, and we
Right?
really
Oh,
look at things
yes.
differently. So
I
yeah,
like that.
that's a great tip Thanks for reminding me of
Well,
that.
thank
I'm
you
going
for
to go
sharing.
through the day.
Right?
Absolutely. So listen, Jodi, this was fantastic. Thank you so much. I will share all of Jodi's details below in the show notes, her social media, her website, access to her 12-week program and her retreat and anything else she mentioned. But do go check her out, guys. You won't regret it. Get some high vibe strength training into your life. And this has been so good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and your wisdom. And we wish you so much luck and joy in the future.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I love it. It was like when you reached out and connected, I was like, yes, let's do it. This is so awesome. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thanks, Jodi.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for listening in, and I hope you felt that energy and you now feel motivated to add more movement into your life. I'd love to get your comments and thoughts on this episode or any of the episodes. And as always, if you're not already following on the platform of your choice, please follow the podcast and share it with your family and friends. And remember, when you raise your vibration, you rise into your true potential. See you next time and have a great inner day.